Okay, so this is a very unfiltered description of actually what kind of goes on.
Okay, let's say you're Jack Ma and all your servants already have a Rolls-Royce. So what do you drive down to 7-Eleven? Well, this is the answer. And today I'm going to take you on an exclusive tour inside. This giant thing is the Hongqi Guoli, a super exclusive limousine that is China's most expensive car. It costs nearly 7.2 million renminbi at home, but just over 1.3 million Singapore dollars. Well, if you want one, once you add the taxes, I think it would cost more than $6.2 million here without COE. That's more than double the price of a Rolls-Royce Phantom, which is why it's super exclusive, and also why this is often called the Rolls-Royce of China. In fact, the first ever Chinese passenger car was a Hongqi. The company was founded in 1958 at the gentle suggestion of Mao Zedong. The mission? To build cars worthy of China's top party officials. You might say it was the original party bus. Haha, but this was a symbolic car. It was China's way of showing visiting diplomats that it could build a luxury car too. You can definitely see this car's early heritage in its styling, right? And if you're curious about what's underneath here, it has a 4-litre twin-turbo V8 engine with 367 horsepower. It also has 2 identical batteries that each power different parts of the car's electrical system. But you know what? A car like this is about more than its hardware. So I definitely need to find someone to tell me more. And I found just the person. Charmain Kwee is the Executive Director of Eurokars Group, the biggest privately held dealership group in Singapore. The business was founded by her father, Kwee, who is pretty much synonymous with luxury cars here. But if anyone could tell me more about the Hongqi, it's Charmain. Charmain, this looks like a Rolls-Royce. It even has this emblem thing.
Yeah, so actually most people have been referring to this car as the Eastern version of the Rolls-Royce.
Okay.
Well, I agree with you on some aspects, such as how the Rolls-Royce is known to be a quiet luxury, a luxurious car in which only people of a certain level of achievement or affluence will be able to kind of obtain as a symbol of their achievements in their life, right?
Yeah, I see the parallel.
Yeah, so those elements, yes, also reflected here in the Hongqi, but at the same time, I would also like to say that if you really look at the different elements in this car itself, you'll see how much the Chinese have really put into this. So it's something definitely more beyond than what a Rolls-Royce really is. It really encapsulates the true heritage of the Chinese and China itself.
Beyond Rolls-Royce.
Beyond Rolls-Royce.
Chinese heritage, so red flag, red army,
Yes.
red emblem.
Red emblem, yes.
And it looks like a wizard's orb or something, but you can see this coming from miles away.
Red is the national color of China, as you can see, it's being illuminated. So apparently it is tilted at specifically 23.5 degrees, and that is actually the tilt of Earth's axis.
Oh yeah, okay, I
Yeah.
see it.
So if anything, this kind of represents the whole idea of this is their Earth and their world, and it's just nicely placed right in front of the car.
That's so subtle and so Chinese.
Right, yeah.
But you know what's not subtle? Look at the grille, the size of this thing. Early Hongqis, I read that the grills were like fan-shaped, but this looks more like, I don't know, a whole cliff. And that's
Honestly,
really
it looks
impressive.
like it gives the car a lot more presence and a lot more authority, which is basically what this car really is. So it's really used to ferry state authorities around. So hence the nice big presence that it kind of brings.
I think that's kind of why I was drawn to it in the first place. So the grille's impressive, but these lights, actually, when you look at them closer, they're very intricate, aren't they?
Yeah, so as the Chinese are, they take pride in everything that they do.
Right.
So that this looks like a normal headlight, but actually if you look closely, it's actually very individualized crystal LEDs that they've really meticulously put into place. And if you notice this fun fact here, guess what shape this is?
That's a heart.
Yeah, precisely. So if I'm getting my lit interpretation right, then I would assume this is them lighting up the way with their passion in their heart.
Now you're just getting deep. But you know what? I love that there are all these little details. The more you look, the more you find. And I think the whole front of the car does have a certain effect. But you know what really has an effect? When you see the rest of the car, like especially from the side. Look at the size of this thing. Like people who say size doesn't matter have never seen a Hongqi, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if you walk along the side of the car, you have to keep walking and walking until like almost in a different town.
As you know, in China, everything bigger is always better.
Right.
Bigger legroom, bigger size, bigger presence. So this is really the epitome of what Chinese really stands for. But take a look at this line. What does it remind you of?
It's like the coach line of the Rolls-Royce, right?
Yeah, precisely, it is. So, want to know a fun fact as well?
Uh-huh.
The person who actually designed this car is actually Giles Taylor. Have you heard of him?
Giles Taylor, yes. He was the head of design at Rolls-Royce. he designed the Rolls-Royce Phantom.
Yeah, precisely.
And he designed this.
Precisely. So that's how you see all the elements brought out from the Rolls-Royce right into this car right here.
Okay. See, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, he is a respected designer, but I think he also understands heritage and he respects heritage. And that's why, I mean, this is a new car, but you can kind of see the line that it draws to the ancestor, the earliest Hongqis.
Yeah.
And you know exactly what you're looking at here.
Yes, precisely. Okay, so Ju-Len, my Chinese is honestly 6 out of 10 at best. So why don't you give me a hand with trying to read all of these Chinese words that you
Oh
see here?
man, Charmain, I went to ACS, so my Chinese is 1 out of 10
You
at
do
best.
better than 一个风和日丽的早上. Come on, Ju-Len, can you do better than this?
I cannot do better than that. But okay, 中国一汽车的汽, right?
correct.
Like, so that means China's first car?
Right.
First car company?
So this basically is what this Hongqi really is, which is Zhongguo, China's first ever monumental state car. So hence 一汽.
Okay, okay, 1 out of 3.
Yes, okay,
First
second
autoworks.
one here or that one?
Okay, this one's a cheat because it says it right there. 国礼, right? So 国家的国
Correct.
and 礼.
Correct. So what do you think that
礼物.
means?
国礼 is a national gift or national manners, grace?
You're doing really well. So basically this is the Guoli. The Guoli basically just means it's a gift to the state, like the Li Wu. So
Oh.
hence this is this is the car's gift to China. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I wish they would give me one.
Last one.
Hongqi, of course. I mean,
Wow.
you know, red flag.
What a genius. Yeah.
Being a walking red flag, I know what Hongqi means.
It takes
but
one to know one,
it
correct?
Does, it
yes.
does.
But this
It's,
is the red flag that you should manifest. It's not the one that you should be repulsed by.
Okay.
Yes.
And this one looks really stylized compared to this. It's almost
Yeah.
like calligraphy.
So actually, interestingly, this entire emblem logo is modeled after the handwriting of Mao Zedong.
The Mao Zedong?
Yes, the Mao Zedong, the great
okay.
cultural leader in China.
That's so cool because when you're tooling about one of these, you're literally driving a car that has Chairman Mao's signature on it.
Precisely. So
I like
hence, to re-emphasize the whole idea of this is the red flag that you should manifest and strive to be, because this is the ultimate state car.
Whoa, Charmaine, I thought the outside was grand, but the interior is something else too.
Yeah, so this is a first-hand view of the driver's seat.
Okay.
What you can see here that will impress you definitely would be the nice mountain scenery that you have.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah.
It's very subtle, but it's kind of calming, right?
And this is iconically what China really is, right? That's a scenery that you usually have when you visit there.
Right, the landscape. Okay.
At the same time, you can see elements of green. So this could either, up to interpretation, be jade or malachite, which I will then show you more of this in the backseat later.
Okay, and then what's this supposed to be?
This is actually the golden sunflower series, and if you
Okay.
look closer into it, the number of petals and the number of seeds, even in this sunflower itself, has a strong significance.
Okay, so number of petals, how
Yes.
many?
So 34 petals,
Uh-huh.
and that represents the number of provinces and regions in China.
Oh.
And take a wild guess on how many seeds there are on the inside.
I don't know, 150?
No, it's actually 56, but that
Oh.
also stands for 56 different ethnic groups in China as well. So as you can see, everything's nicely encapsulated in this golden sunflower.
Okay, so for all the Westerners out there who think Chinese people are just Chinese people, there's 56 ethnic groups in China.
Correct, precisely.
I mean, that's really symbolic, and I think it's cool to know.
Yes.
What I was impressed by were some of the retro details, two spokes, and the horn is here, that kind of thing. This kind of reminds me a little bit of Bentley in terms of the controls.
Yeah.
I think that is probably because of First Autoworks association with Volkswagen Group. But other than that, I mean, I can see how this is as posh as it gets inside the car. But I gotta say, right, this is where the poor person sits, right? This is where the employees sit. So
I'm pretty sure the employer also goes through very stringent checks. So I would say even to be sitting at this level to drive this vehicle, it takes a special level of clearance as well.
fair enough. So I'm not sure if I qualify though, but
I'm pretty sure you want to have a try.
I'd rather check out the VIP seats.
Okay, let's go.
Oh, this door's seriously heavy, man. It's like a armored car door or something, and
Yeah.
when I shut it, it's like we're inside a vault.
Precisely.
Oh, okay, that means break time is over. Back to the factory line.
I guess it's the car recognizing that you've finally taken your place in the back seat.
I'll accept it. Thank you, car. But okay, whoever owns this, I've got a feeling they're a big fan of blue and green. And also, they seem to like the embroidery quite a lot.
Yeah, so as you can see, the elements of this flower slash bamboos and mountains and scenery kind of like embedded through different parts of the car, from the embroidery of the seats to even the panels in the front here, panels in the front that you saw just now,
Right.
the side panels here, and even these panels right here.
Yeah, it's all very subtle green. Is it jade? It kind of looks a bit like...
Actually, I think it's open to interpretation, but to me it looks more like malachite. So
It's malachite.
malachite is a stone that was kind of used for different pottery stuff. Basically, it's a stone that's really big in China.
Right, okay, so it's ornamental.
Yeah, precisely. But I think this, factually speaking, it was using the dati lacquer. So this lacquer it has to be layered several times, and I think it's a very tedious process.
Right.
But again, as you know, right, quality and meticulousness is everything that the Chinese really believe in and embody. And this dati lacquer is made from a tree that's only originating from China.
Of course, and I guess that's why it's so glossy over here.
Yeah, and I guess green also kind of represents emerald, right, or jade, or some sort of, like I said, so it's open to interpretation.
Okay.
It's supposed to be luxurious and
Yeah,
stuff.
it's cool, and then I see like Chairman Mao's
Chairman Mao's,
signature is
right here as well.
the Chairman Mao. Yeah.
To always remind you that upon stepping into the car, you have to make heavy, thought-provoking decisions. Hence, maybe that's why the car door was so heavy, because you're already carrying the weight of the world. What is the car door to you?
That's deep. That's deep. And of course, I'm very far away from the hired help.
Yes. As you know, they don't scrimp on legroom. I think comfort is everything that the Chinese really put into their heads when they're manufacturing literally anything as well.
Okay, you know what? Yeah. I am sold. Where do I sign?
Unfortunately, the Golden Flower series is not available for sale because Hongqi has not decided to make this available for out of the country. But lucky you, so today the only car that Hongqi has ever decided to actually export out of its country is the EHS9, and that car is available for you to own, because this car, unfortunately, you have to be of a certain authoritative figure, state figure, which perhaps maybe the rest of the world may not be too ready for yet.
So wait, what you're saying is it's not just about money. You have to be someone?
Yeah, basically yes. But the EHS9 is something that you can get a part of this in that as well. So you can definitely go for that.
I choose to take that personally, Charmaine. But okay, let's see what money can buy then.
Yes, let's go.
I have a feeling Charmaine is gonna show me this. It's a grand pure electric SUV that's slightly bigger than a Bentley Bentayga. It's a level below the Golden Sunflower range where you find the Guoli, but it is aimed at a wider audience.
So Ju-Len, welcome to the car that you can finally own in Singapore. EHS9. This is an SUV, and this car, if you look at it, there's a big difference from the other car that we've sat in just now.
Okay.
But this one is really more made for the everyday drive, more made for the Singapore roads as well, and it's an SUV, right? So it clears a lot of humps, more acceptable in parking spaces as well, and definitely more everyday comfort for all the passengers in the car, not just the backseat drivers.
Okay, and yet I still get that sense that you could be sipping some champagne back here.
Precisely, the luxury element is still definitely there. The legroom space is definitely still there as well, and you have all these nice leather embroidery details too, as well as the wooden panels here too as well.
Okay, so I gotta ask, like, what actually made you guys decide to bring Hongqi to Singapore?
Basically, the whole heart and purpose of Eurocars is to deliver the unparalleled experience for all of our customers, and is really led by passion. So Eurocars started originally because of my dad's passion for cars.
Yeah.
And in acquiring or working with, or deciding to work with new business partners, what we do is we really see what their stand is. We try to figure out whether their vision and our visions are aligned. And Hongqi was honestly one of the ones, I mean, as you can see from the car just now, and how detailed they make every single thing, and how every single thing meant something to them.
Right.
You could tell there's a lot of passion just beaming from the car itself, and I think that was a great fit for what we truly believe in at Eurocars, which is to really push out that passion in acquiring all the brands, to really bring that to the consumers in Singapore, as well as the other regions that we're in, which is Indonesia, Australia, as well as China.
Okay, so you mentioned your dad, and I actually found out about Hongqi from your dad. He calls me one day, he says, "Hey, I got a new brand." And I was like, "Which one?" He says, "Hongqi." And I thought, of course, you know, it's just a good fit, right?
Yes.
But so he gets to make that announcement on the phone, but behind the scenes, like, tell me about what leads up to that moment.
So the grunt work?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so this is a very unfiltered description of actually what kind of goes on. Basically what happens is we identify the brand kind of identifies us as well, and in the process of that we see whether, like I've said earlier, the vision is aligned, and thereafter we look into the research of the current market. So we see whether what Singapore demands, what would be a good model or make to kind of bring into Singapore, what their competitors would there be in this kind of space.
Oh.
So iconically for the Hongqi EHS9, it's a luxury SUV, and for that there's not many players in this space too, so we thought it was a very good opportunity for the car makers to actually bring in.
Okay.
In terms of its space and the fact that it's an SUV, since Singapore is a very SUV driven market right now, I think it's one of the more sellable options, as well as the fact that Singapore's green plan, right? So all the cars are moving towards EV, and EV is the perfect choice for such a car of luxury, you know, because you want that quietness, you want to be able to have your heavy conversations in the car,
Okay.
or your light conversations without being disturbed,
Right.
or to even maybe blast your music through the state-of-art speakers that we have here as well. So yeah, all of these things were basically considered before we kind of put our names to the paper and ink our agreement down.
Okay.
Thereafter, once all of that is settled, the next step would then be to basically find the team, right? So you find the team to really run this whole entire project together.
So is it an arrow process? Okay, you, and you.
Actually, it's not the error process. I think it's more of basically whoever else is interested in the brand, because naturally the whole group would know which brand we're taking up next, right? So with that, the employees can then decide, hey, if they're really interested in this brand, they'll be like, hey, I want to try going for this instead. And we're more than happy to accept them, because I mean, that is the heart of what we do, right? So as long as you have passion for what you want to retail, what you want to operate in, right, we're more than happy to be able to give you the opportunity to take that on as well.
Wow.
So actually, an interesting fact about this is I was talking about the research that we were doing earlier, right, before we really inked the paper. So we actually have like a project team. So this project team, for most brands, not just these brands, every single brand pitch that we have, this team is made up of different people from different departments, and it's all kind of like on a volunteer basis as well. It's good because having such a diverse pool of people with different experiences would really add more to the value of the pitch, right? So they're bringing the different experiences, different exposures they had in different departments and in different landscapes of the different business units that they operate in, be it either used cars, new cars, whether they're the product executive ordering certain things, and they see the trends of what different people like in the current circumstance right now.
Okay, so it does sound like it's passion plus solid business,
Yeah.
grunt work as they call it.
Yes.
But you know, you've been at this for like 3 years, I think?
I think now it's coming to 4.
Oh, wow, okay. How's your energy level? Like, how do you feel?
I would say the adrenaline has never died, because I think if I recall, my first stint was sometime like maybe 4 years ago when I first met you, and I think I told you after the showroom opening for that, which was done in 3 to 4 months, by the way, was over.
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah, so I told you on the day itself that I was like, okay, this is done, I'm happy, now I'm on to my next project, right? So I think ever since then, it was many next projects later, and it led us to here today in Hongqi. So I think it's really great that how the opportunities are really endless over here with us, and it's great that I will never get bored. I thought that if I left my previous job, I was just going to get bored in the automotive trade, right? Because cars are all the same, but in fact, it's actually all very different. I think a common misconception that everybody has now that, oh, all the EV cars are the same, and there's nothing that differentiates them, you know. But I think as someone who sits in the both sides, right? Because I wouldn't say I'm a super big car fan, but at the same time, I could appreciate it from the eyes of a consumer, because I would see what's convenient, what is premium, and what is luxury to me. Even in every single EV car, there's a difference in its character. There's a difference in what you consider to be what is luxury to you or what is premiumness to you. Because performance to petrol head would be, you know, how fast 0 to 100 is, all that
and
kind of
noise
stuff.
and stuff. Yeah.
Precisely, but in an EV, it's always 0 to 100 in a certain amount of seconds. It's the torque. The torque is always there, right?
Yeah.
But performance to me then would mean more of, okay, how intuitive are the buttons to me? How can the AI cockpit basically integrate seamlessly with my life, and how can I use it in the most easiest manner? I mean, I shouldn't be texting when I'm driving, so how can the CarPlay and all that kind of stuff link seamlessly for me to drive in a safe manner, but not forgo all the things that I have to, even when I have to drive, you know? Yeah, so I think those are the things that as a car retailer, at the same time, you do get to see and appreciate the differences and nuances in every single different vehicle. And not just blanket it as it's an EV car.
Right.
Yeah.
And you know, like your dad is the ultimate car guy. You know, I think I really respect him for that.
Yeah.
And you mentioned, you know, it's passion that founded this business, right? But are there things that you know, once you decide what can change and what has to stay the same?
So basically, in what areas do I have the decision-making power?
Well,
or-
not just that, but the world is changing, and then the passion, you know, for cars is kind of changing as well. The appreciation of cars is changing.
Yeah.
Have you had to think about like, okay, I can use this from my dad's era, but this has to change?
I think that golden thread that runs through every single era, I would say, even after myself to, let's say, the next generation, would be that having that passion in really delivering the unparalleled customer experience would be something that is unwavering. So it's something that we have to always put in the forefront of our minds to always deliver the best or the essence of the brand that we're bringing in. So let's say if the focus of I don't know, a patrol car, right, is the performance, that fast, adrenaline rush kind of spirit, then that's something that we really got to convey and push to the consumers to let them experience and understand the whole thrill of it. Whereas for things such as this, like a luxury car, I wouldn't say so much of the EV aspect they're trying to push out. It's more of how can you enjoy luxury in a more reasonable price range, and something that you can enjoy and something that's made available to the masses, not just something that's too exclusive where we just shut a bunch of consumers out as well. So I think that passion that we have in delivering that, to allowing the consumers to really appreciate this car. It's something that is rooted strongly in our passion.
Okay. Well, last question, all right? Like you mentioned, I met you 4 years ago at the BMW showroom opening where you look sleep deprived and all that.
Oh, yes.
But let's say it's 20 years from now, right? What do you want people to think about when they look at the sort of Charmain Kwee era of Eurocars?
Wow. I think joining the company at this moment is quite seminal for me because apart from kind of like living out my dad's legacy at the same time is really observing and witnessing that change in automotive industry. I think more than 10 years ago, everyone's like, oh yeah, cars are petrol cars. You have the liberty to go and change every single aspect of it to make it yours. How do you then make this personalization aspect still come through in a world where everyone is moving towards electric vehicles, or even if it's not electric vehicles per se, alternative fuel sources like maybe hydrogen, hybrid, all that kind of stuff. How do you take all of this and best fit into your lifestyle? So I think having that kind of challenge is something that I would hopefully see through. And I think at the end of maybe, let's say 20 years, when I'm pretty sure another shift is going to happen then hopefully I can look back and say that I'm proud to see that the company has grown to take on a broad portfolio, but while still maintaining that whole passion that we have rooted within us.
Wow, okay. I mean, I think that's a very noble ambition.
Oh, thank
20
you.
years from now, I mean, I'd just be happy if I still had my teeth.
The dental hygiene is really important, so yes.
Okay. Well, thanks a lot, Charmain. I really appreciate
Thank you.
the time.
Thanks for having me.
And yeah, where do I sign for this?
I'll get the team to give you a VSA right now, so let's go. I'm excited for that part.
Unfortunately, the finance company just laughed and laughed when I applied for my loan, but wow, what a treat it was today. I got to sit inside one of the most exquisite cars in the world and get a closer look at what Hongqi has in store for Singapore and elsewhere outside of China. I hope you enjoyed this little look at China's most exclusive brand. If you did, please consider subscribing. It really helps us out. So thank you very much. See you next time.
This actually is Mao Zedong's handwriting. That's kind of
The Mao Zedong?
Yeah.
Wow, okay.
Yes, Mao Zedong.
You're doubting me because I was like...
Mao Zedong, correct, Mao Zedong.